Niagara Falls State Park is a beautiful and exhilarating place to visit, with epic views, stunning natural beauty, and lots of family-friendly experiences to keep you busy all day. This is your guide to exploring America's oldest state park. And I've got some helpful tips to share with you. Located in Niagara Falls, New York, about 30 minutes north of Buffalo, Niagara Falls State Park sits right on the edge of the Niagara River Gorge. If you're coming from the Canadian side of the border, consider parking on the Canadian side and walking across the Rainbow Bridge. You'll get great views along the way, and you could actually save yourself a lot of time at the border if the vehicle lines are long. Trust me, I've made this mistake before. And don't forget your passport. The park offers several parking lots on property. However, they can fill up quickly if you're visiting during peak season. If you can, snag a spot on property. It'll cost you about $10 to $15 for the day. Not to worry though, there's plenty of off-site parking lots, but they'll run you about $25 for the day. You can also find street parking, but that will cost you about $20 for 4 hours, not all day. This information may not be universally true, but it is true of my experiences. If you can get there early enough, I'd recommend parking at lot number 1, which is right at the center of the park. From lot 1, the Welcome Center is a 2-minute walk, and it's here that you can buy your timed entry to Cave of the Winds, and you can also get your trolley tickets too. You should definitely make this your first order of business when you arrive at the park, especially if it's a busy day. For the other attractions, you'll buy the tickets at the attraction itself. The Welcome Center is a nice new building, and the staff inside were really helpful answering questions and getting people acquainted with the park and layout. On the lower level of the Welcome Center is where you can find a souvenir shop, counter service food, and Starbucks coffee. There's also restrooms here, which are the newest and cleanest, and there's lots of infant changing tables here too. From the Welcome Center, the Niagara Scenic Trolley is a short walk away. Apparently the trolley can get pretty busy and even sell out of tickets, but we didn't have any issues when we were visiting in mid-October. But you don't need to ride the trolley to get around, as the park is very walkable and fairly compact. The trolley is going to be helpful for those with mobility issues for sure, but it's definitely not easy to take everything out of your stroller, fold it all up, and then lug it all onto the trolley. We found it easiest just to walk wherever we wanted to go, plus the trolley comes every 15 to 30 minutes, so you'll spend a good chunk of time just waiting for it. In the meantime, you could probably walk to wherever you're wanting to go. We found the trolley to be a fun extra attraction, which we just rode around the entire park once to take in the views. It was definitely worth it. If the weather is nice, sit in the back in the open air car and try to get a seat on the right hand side for the best views. There are other transportation options if the trolley doesn't work for you. There are bike share rentals throughout the park, and there's wheelchair and motorized scooter rentals just outside of the park. At the north end of the park is the Aquarium of Niagara. The aquarium is home to more than 120 species of animals, including rescued and non-releasable marine mammals, sea lions, penguins, and more than 1,200 fish and invertebrates. They have regularly scheduled presentations throughout the day, so keep an eye on the website for times. When we visited, we made it just in time for the sea lion presentation. All of the sea lions that live here are non-releasable and would have died without human intervention. The aquarium is small and doesn't take too long to get through, but it's always a thrill for kids to get up close to penguins and sea lions, plus they have an interactive section where you can pet stingrays. Included with admission is the new expansion across the property called Great Lakes 360. I found this to be really interesting and my favorite part of the aquarium. Here you'll learn all about the Great Lakes ecosystems, and you'll get to see some of the wildlife found in the lakes and even the Niagara River. Some of the exhibits you'll see here are invasive species like sea lampreys and ancient fish like sturgeon, which you can pet. Don't forget to take the spiral walkway up to the roof for some great views of the Niagara River, the Gorge, and both Niagara Falls cities. The Power Station Ruins is located a short walk south from the aquarium. Along the way, you'll find some great picnic spots, and the views along this section of the park are spectacular. The power station is somewhat unassuming when you approach, but the doors are unlocked from 7:30 a.m. until 4 p.m. off-season and 5 p.m. peak season. Just head inside and take the elevator down. The power station was constructed between 1905 and 1924 and was the largest hydroelectric power station in the world. The complex included offices, gatehouses, and buildings at the top of the gorge, and turbine generator stations located at the bottom. Water was diverted from the Niagara River above the falls by a 4,000-foot-long canal that ran through the city to the edge of the gorge. In June 1956, workers noticed water seeping into the plant from the back wall. Later that day, the cracks got bigger and workers tried, unsuccessfully, to stop the flow with sandbags. By the early evening, the power station sustained a catastrophic collapse, which destroyed most of the plant and sent rubble tumbling into the river below. 6 generators blew up, sending shrapnel as far as the Canadian side of the gorge, and 400,000 kilowatts of power had been lost from the power grid. Damage was estimated at $100 million. About a decade ago, the Maid of the Mist company began construction on the site to turn it into a storage location for their boats during winter. They also restored the original elevator shaft. Thanks to that restoration work, we get this cool and free attraction which offers great views of the Rainbow Bridge, the Horseshoe Falls, and the river and gorge. There's even a hiking trail here too. Heading back to the middle of the park and the Welcome Center area, we're going to be heading south from here. If you head towards the water, you'll pick up the Lower Grove Trail, which hugs the edge of the rapids above the American Falls. This section of the river is known as Hell's Half Acre. Follow this upriver and over the pedestrian bridges towards Goat Island. I'd recommend just sticking to the right and following the path over the river and then downstream towards Luna Island and the falls. The fall colors and views along this walk are stunning, and don't forget to stop and take a photo at the state park sign. To get to Luna Island, you'll cross over a beautiful stone bridge that actually spans over the top of Bridal Veil Falls. The views from Luna Island get you up close to both the American and Bridal Veil Falls. And you get your first up-close view of the Cave of the Winds experience, which we'll get to a little later in this video. The next viewing spot is the Nikola Tesla Monument, and you can head up the stairs to get there directly. If you can't do the stairs, you'll just need to backtrack to the fork in the path and then go left. The views from this spot are a lot more expansive, offering a great overview of the entire area. This area is also where you'll find the Cave of the Winds Plaza, but again, we're going to come back to that a little later. Continuing along the path for a few minutes, you'll reach Terrapin Point, which gets you up to the edge of the Horseshoe Falls. Typically, the weather moves from west to east, so you're likely to get misted or soaked when viewing the Horseshoe Falls from the US side. If you want the best and driest views of Horseshoe Falls, you'll want to take them in from the Canadian side. But this is a fun experience and a great introduction to the power of the falls. You'll also find the Top of the Falls restaurant here and restrooms. Heading back to the Cave of the Winds Plaza now, this is where you'll of course find the entrance to Cave of the Winds, as well as restrooms, a gift shop, and a cafe. The cafe offers up pretty basic stuff like salads, vegetable samosas, and chicken fingers. We got chicken fingers and fries and it was just okay. The meat inside was like a McDonald's chicken nugget. It was just like mashed up chicken meat. The Welcome Center had better food options for sure. And after powering through some processed meat, we headed into the Cave of the Winds. We had purchased our timed entry tickets at the Welcome Center at the start of the day, so we went straight through to the entrance. Once inside, there are some great interactive exhibits to keep you busy while you wait for the pre-show theater to open. The wait's only like 5 minutes. The theater's really well done with set pieces off to the side that are actually part of the film experience. I thought it was really well done and informative. After the video, you're led outside to the elevators that take you down to the bottom of the Niagara Gorge. When the elevators opened, I got some Journey Behind the Falls vibes as we walked down the damp tunnel. But that was short-lived as you quickly exit out into the gorge. You can hear the rumble of the falls growing louder as you approach, and pretty soon you'll see some pretty incredible views of the American and Bridal Veil Falls. What's nice about this experience is that you can get as close and wet as you want. If you want to stay dry, just have to hang back a little bit. Either way, this experience is amazing and an absolute must-do. I'd recommend packing some sandals and rolling up your pant legs because even if you stay out of the heavy spray and mist, you're likely going to get your feet and ankles wet. Other than the zip line on the Canadian side, I think I've done almost every attraction on both sides of the falls. And I'd say this ranks up there as one of the best. The wooden platforms allow you to walk around and take in the views from lots of different vantage points. Plus you'll get the immersive experience of being surrounded by all the small rapids and offshoots with rushing water going right under your feet. Hey, I'm Mark. I'm a husband, a dad, and a videographer, and I make videos about North American places and experiences. If you're enjoying this video, I have plenty more on my channel just like it, and more planned for the future, so please consider subscribing. And if you've already subscribed, I really appreciate you and thank you. Heading back to the center of the park is where you'll find the Maid of the Mist. It's just a 1-minute walk from the Welcome Center. Head to the ticket booths and purchase your tickets. Head up the stairs towards the observation tower. If you need an elevator, head to the right of the stairs. The elevators and stairs take you up to the observation tower level. Head out to the observation tower platform for some incredible views. For the Maid of the Mist, you'll need to stay right and head to the elevators. Once off the elevators, you'll be led outside where you'll receive your ponchos. For some reason, the pink Maid of the Mist ponchos have shorter sleeves than the yellow Cave of the Winds ponchos, so our arms and shirt sleeves got drenched on Maid of the Mist. I might suggest taking your Cave of the Winds poncho with you on Maid of the Mist. It's a weird oversight because at Cave of the Winds, you can decide how wet or dry you get, whereas on Maid of the Mist, you're on that boat and you're getting soaked whether you like it or not. So you would think that the Maid of the Mist ponchos would offer better protection. Anyways, it's not a big deal, just thought I'd mention it so you know. If you have a passport and enough days in your schedule, I highly recommend visiting both the US and Canadian side of Niagara Falls, as there's a ton to see and do on both sides. But the Maid of the Mist and its Canadian counterpart, the Hornblower, are basically exactly the same. The only difference I have ever noticed is that the boats on the US side sometimes seem less busy than the boats on the Canadian side, which are always packed. This was true when we visited in October as well. Don't take that as fact though, it's just an observation that I've made over the years. Whether you ride from the Canadian side or US side, the boat ride is exhilarating and unlike anything else in the world. There's plenty of footage online, but the actual experience is hard to capture with a camera phone or GoPro. I've done Maid of the Mist a handful of times before, and the experience never gets old. Niagara Falls State Park is beautiful, and New York State has done a great job here. The story is a little different when you leave the state park though. You'll probably encounter some homeless people. We were approached twice by individuals asking us for money. This might seem unsettling for some, especially when you have kids with you and there's not many other people around. I really can't comment on whether Niagara Falls City is safe or not. Outside of those two experiences that we had, we felt perfectly safe the entire time. I also can't speak on what Niagara Falls City is like in the evening, but I can say that we were there on a weekday evening in October, and by 5 p.m. the place was pretty deserted. Obviously, we were there outside of peak season, so consider that when you're planning your trip. We decided to just stick to Old Fall Street and take the kids to Rainforest Cafe. It's about a 5-minute walk from the state park. We did not have high expectations going there. Of course, this is a fun spot for kids, but we expected the food to be, average at best. I have to say though, the barbecue bacon cheeseburger was pretty darn good, and you get a ton of fries. And the kids had fun exploring the restaurant and arcade, so it was a win-win. It was a great way to end our time in Niagara Falls State Park. If I missed anything that you think people should know about, please leave a comment below. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.